Hello, hello, hello. This is Elissa from Mank Arts and Crafts. So this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever and whenever time it is for you guys, I am going to be doing my month in review for April. I was trying to figure out what a good initial video was as a welcome to my channel first video, and I couldn't figure out what to do. Finally, I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just do my month in review for April, since this is now officially like the first week of May. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first off, like many of us, I got started. I've only been diamond painting for, now that it is like May 7th when I'm recording this, I think I kind of started diamond painting the first week. I was like, oh, I want to start this, and I decided on like May 31st or March 31st and looked up some kits on Amazon, like all of us do that don't know any better, and ordered some kits, and then they started coming in that first week of March, or April, first week of April. So, of course, didn't know any better, like many of us. So the first few kits that I'll show you are Amazon kits. Now that I know, I make a point of trying to only do licensed artwork, but I have also tried to go through the Amazon kits that I have, and I've returned a bunch of them that still fell within that time frame that I could return. But also, I try to do like a reverse image search for many of the kits that I have, because a lot of them do fall under they're random stock images and things like that. So many of them, when I did the reverse image search, I didn't find any other images beyond the listing for the painting. But for those that can afford to do Diamond Art Club or other reputable companies, there's many out there. That is something that I highly recommend and highly suggest. But I know there's other people who can't afford to buy from companies like that. And for those people, buying budget kits off of Amazon is a way to make diamond painting accessible. And in that case, what I recommend is that if you find a image that you like, take a screenshot of that image and then take it and do a reverse image search to make sure that the image of the painting that you're doing is not something that was stolen off of an artist. So that way it's hopefully that the image that you're finding is something that was a stock image, as opposed to somebody's artwork that was stolen and now being produced by a random company off of Amazon and a third party seller. So that's my recommendation for that, because again, we all know that diamond paintings can be very pricey, and some people can't afford them. And I'm a firm believer that you want to be able to have it be affordable, and that's the nice thing about the Amazon kits, is they are affordable. I mean, I think this kit was something that I probably spent $5 to $10 on this kit off of Amazon, and granted, yes, you can tell because the quality is nowhere near the quality that you would get off of a Diamond Art Club kit. But when it's between somebody who wants to be able to actually do a painting and they can spend $5 on a kit and be able to do it, versus not being able to do a kit because they don't have the $40, $50 to do a kit, which you can find kits. Diamond Art Club does have like $20, $15, $20 kits that they do sell on Amazon, which is a great entry point that I strongly recommend for people. But anyways, enough of my ramblings. So this first kit, as you can see, this was the very first one that I did. On this, there was no title for it beyond a random number. So I called this Buddha at Sunset, so that way I could kind of do my own recollection and remember what I was doing it. See if I can find my ruler. So they call it a 30 by 40, but Amazon kits are always measured by the outside dimensions, so they're never actually 30 by 40 for your inside dimensions. So in reality, you're looking at something that's like 24.5 centimeters by like 34.5-ish. So definitely not a 30 by 40. It was like more 24.5 by 34.5. So that's a lie. But this was great as like a entry level, do I even like this kind of a thing, which obviously I did. The rendering, as you can see, not the greatest. From the picture, I was expecting it to be a lot of like solid black, so I was pleased that there was shades in here, but oh, come on, Moch, gotta keep moving as you get the little one in there. She likes to sit in the windowsill behind my desk. So the canvas has a lot of like almost folds in it from how it was rolled as it came in that have not come out, despite the fact that this has been sitting flat in a portfolio for almost a month, because I started it on the 3rd of April and finished it on the 8th of April. So almost a month ago now, and it's still got like these rolls and folds to the canvas, so that you can see like right there, and there's another one there. So very low quality canvas. The sky didn't really bother me so much because it looks like basically an overexposed sky. I could have done with some better rendering and color changes here. This part was fine. I don't like what they did with, you can tell it's computer rendered. Very little detail around the face. I don't like this weird coloration right through here. This bottom part bothers me because it's like, is this like you're walking out on the bridge? What is this random little bit of yellow right here? There were a ton of popping drills. I have my notes right here from this great little diamond painting logbook from Randa's Crafty Corner over on Etsy, which I love because it gives you a spot to put the photo sticker from when you have like actual, you'll see when I get to it for the Diamond Art Club or any of the other actual kits that come with a sticker. This one had 20 colors. And they did actually had a DMC code on it. There were a ton of popping drills. I actually had to seal it, get a sealer for it, because as I was doing it, drills were trying to pop off on me. So this is the first one. It will have a sentimental value for me. It looks a little stiff again because of how many popping drills I had on it, but that is number 1. I'm just going to start putting them on top of each other on here. Number 2 was also an Amazon kit, very similar. You'll notice the trend in these first few. This one, I was actually pretty pleased with the rendering. There were 22 colors on this one. It said 30 by 30. You can tell there was no quality control on that. And there were 22 colors, no ABs in any of these Amazon kits. The canvas actually felt like a little bit better. It was a little bit of like a thicker canvas. I didn't have any issues with like the I didn't have any issues with like the oh gosh, what was I saying? Oh, with any of like the weird folds or anything in the canvas. As you can see, it looks a lot better. I did end up sealing this one, but that wasn't because of drills popping. It was because there was like this whole section up here where there wasn't a lot of sticky on the, like where it wasn't sticking well, where the drills were falling off and they weren't holding their sticky. As I would place them down, they wouldn't hold well. So I ended up having to seal it because of that, because I really, really liked this image. I called this Buddha mandala, because of course there's the Buddha and the mandala in the background. So I love mandalas and I love Buddha images. You'll notice a trend in these first few images that I show you. I've lived in Japan and I've done a lot of travel in Southeast Asia. So for me, there is a lot of like, I love the Buddha images, and I'm trying to get a hold of some of the Buddha images that Diamond Art Club has done to get some of the licensed ones. I've gotten one so far on a D-stash, but I'm trying to get more of them so that way I can have some of the licensed artwork. And if anyone has any recommendations for any other companies that do licensed artwork of Buddha images, I would be greatly appreciative of that. So if you could put those down in the comments. This one did have a lot of confetti, which you can see all in like right up in this area here, but I loved this one. I thought the coloring was great. I was really pleased with this kit. So that one I was kind of like, this one I was like, yeah, okay. I find this relaxing and fun to do, because that's what I was looking for, was something that was relaxing, that in a way was kind of like didn't require me to think. Because I do Chinese brush painting or Asian brush painting, because it's not just a Chinese style that I paint in. And I've been doing that for the last three years. I did it about 2014. I started about 8 years ago, painted for a couple of years, took like a 5-year hiatus because of some commitments with my day job life, craziness. So I took like a 5-year hiatus from painting, and then I got back into it about 3 years ago during COVID, when I actually was like, I need to get back into painting, which my mom, who's an actual professional artist and painter, kept trying to convince me to do for years. So I finally got back into painting. But when I'm painting, I have to be thinking about what I'm doing, because you have to hold the brush a certain way, which this is actually my painting desk. So you have to hold your brushes a certain way, like you have to sit a certain posture, you hold it, you paint a very specific way, and you have to use certain brush strokes to replicate what you want on the paper, and you have to kind of plan out what you want. So there's a lot of thought that goes into how you do brush painting. And sometimes you don't want to actually have to think. You want to be able to just say, okay, this is what I'm doing, and just put it down. And that's for me, like diamond painting was something that was just very relaxing, and I didn't have to think as much about what I was doing. And that's what really kind of drew me to the diamond painting. But back to our month in review. So this was my second painting. I started this on the 9th of April, and I finished it on the 13th of April. This one had 22 colors. Again, it was a 30 by 40, or again, as we said here, with this, technically that 24.5 by 34.5, because it's definitely not a 30 by 40. I loved the colors of this one. This one is probably one that right now I have them displayed in like a portfolio, which is how I actually store most of my Chinese brush paintings as well. So I've got a ton of portfolios. But that was painting number 3, or painting number 2, sorry. Painting number 3, I did a couple Paintgem minis, which I'll show you some of those at the end. So then the next of these that I did, I called Buddha Seated on Lotus. Again, I made up my own names for these. This one, actually, I did not have to seal. And I tried a different way of sectioning. Like this, I was playing around with sectioning these. This one, I did not have to seal at all, so that one, which was nice. This was another Amazon one. It had 24 colors. Also a fair amount of confetti again, but just in like small areas. So it looks like when you look at it, I don't really like these weird things in the background here and then here. It almost looks like a cobweb coming down, so that part's a little odd. I wish they would have just taken that part and removed it and just made it kind of like continue with this coming down, because I like the actual image, which is pretty much just like a photograph with an interesting background, basically, of a Buddha statue seated on a lotus, basically. So I had low expectations for these Amazon kits because they're so small, and they don't have that much, you can't get that much detail when you're doing something that's this 24.5 by 34.5 centimeters, because, you know, the 30 by 40 lies. So I had low expectations for how much detail you could get off of it. So I was actually pretty pleased with the fact that you could tell that this was like a Buddha's face. You can kind of actually tell that he's sitting there, he's got his hand in like the position that he's got his hand in here, and same thing here if you're familiar with any kind of Buddhist meditation poses or anything like that. So I was pleasantly surprised with the detail I got on this. I had low expectations, especially after this first one with how horrible the rendering was there. We're gonna have another visitor coming through. Come on, Moch, keep walking. Into your windowsill, come on. Apologize for that. All right, so I was pleasantly surprised with how this one turned out. Colors were not bad. Nothing that was really bothered me beyond, like I said, this right here, this one here. I did try sectioning it and doing like, you know, where you break it into the sections with your washi tape. And I think I divided it into like 8 sections, and I tried doing all of this section and then all of this section and then so on and so forth, which I really, really disliked that way of working. So my preferred way of working, which I discovered after trying that way, is actually, I still will put the washi tape. You'll see when I show you my whips after these. I still will lay my washi tape out into sections, but I do that just so I don't get put my hand in the adhesive as I'm working. And then I'll take all of one half, because I actually work with the painting on its side like this, because I use an easel as my, so that way I'm not straining my back or my neck. So I'll work with that at an incline, and then I'll start from the left, work over, and then I'll turn it over and work over, but I'll start on one half, and I'll pick whatever color stands out to me the most, and I'll work in this section, do all of that color, and then I'll move to this section, all of that color, and then this section and this section. So essentially I'll do all of this half in one color, and then I'll move on to the next color for all of this half, and I'll essentially do all of every color for this half. So I'll have all of one half done, and then I'll go on to the other half of the painting, which it may not be the standard way of doing it, but that's what works for me. So if that's what works, then you do what works for you. So that's just my method of madness of working. So this one was much better. I just found that I did not like doing the traditional section by section. So I don't use release paper. I tried that on one of my, I think on painting number 1, and really, really disliked the release paper method of working. I despised that with a passion. So I left the plastic on for painting number 2, and I just would peel back the section work, peel back. So I didn't do any slicing of the paint of the plastic. And then I tried the washi tape sectioning, but doing all of one section, and wasn't a fan of that either. This one I started kind of recording how long it took me to paint, do the painting with the Gems Flow app. This one took me 14 hours and 39 minutes. I started it on the 16th of April and then finished it on the 20th of April. So you'll notice there was a little bit of a gap in the middle there where I did not allow myself to actually paint or do any diamond painting, and that's because I was working on my dissertation proposal. So I am a glutton for punishment, and I am working on a Doctor of Science in physical therapy. I already have my Doctor of Physical Therapy because I am a physical therapist, but I decided about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I just finished my second year of school, that it would be a brilliant idea to go back to school and get a Doctor of Science, which anybody who's not familiar with the Doctor of Science, is kind of like the clinical version of a PhD. A PhD is very research focused, and a Doctor of Science is less research focused because the expectation is that you're still working in the clinic and you're more relatable to real life in clinic work. So I decided to do this glutton for punishment, still work full time while I'm going to school and working on my Doctor of Science. And I had my dissertation proposal was due on Sunday the 16th, that 15th or 16th of April. So I did not let myself finish or start a new painting until I had finished and submitted my dissertation proposal. So that's why you'll notice a gap between painting 2 and painting 3, because I had finished that one and then I had to like buckle down and finish the dissertation proposal before I could do any work on this one. I also, while I was scrolling on Amazon looking for things, I actually completely by chance stumbled across Diamond Art Club. And I stumbled across this one because I wanted, you know, something fun and light, because I was painting mostly some of these like darker, yes, relatively bright, some of them bright colors, but you know, the darker feel of some of these paintings. And I wanted something like bright and fluffy. So I wanted a unicorn painting, and I found Diamond Art Club's Amazon exclusive store, and I found Unicorn Rainbow by Pixie Sticks, one of their Amazon exclusives. And this one is around 23 centimeters by 23 centimeters. And these do measure true to size. As you can see, it is actually like that 23, and this one is only like just slightly larger. This has 25 colors. 2 of them are ABs, 1 and 2. Those are your ABs right there. And this one was an adorable one. After I finished this one here, I had gotten this one in, and I decided to try out this one here. I was like, it was a more expensive painting, but I was like, oh, I'll try it out. And then of course you get it in and you find out about Diamond Art Club and the VIP group. And then you start down that whole track and you find out the difference between, you know, Amazon paintings and the potential for like unlicensed artwork versus licensed artwork, and you find out all of that information, and that's kind of how everything kind of went from there. So this was my first licensed piece. I had found Paintgem just because, you know, I had been getting like ads for Paintgem randomly. So once I started doing these, I had ordered like one of the Paintgem kits, and I had done a couple small ones while I was preventing myself from working on this. I did some Paintgem little minis before I finished that one because I needed to do something to take my mind off of my dissertation proposal. So this one, loved this kit. I could immediately tell a huge difference between the Amazon kits with their cheap canvas, which they're thin, no softness to it, versus the Amazon or the Diamond Art Club kit, which has that soft, super soft backing. Tends to lay flatter. The one thing that I do have to say that I did not like is you can see that there is a crease in this canvas, which right through there, which I kind of like not happy about, because again, this has been laying flat. I tried it under books, I tried everything, both with before I worked on it and then after I worked on it, and it still has this crease that will not come out, which if I do decide to frame it, which I will, because this is an actual canvas, I will actually do a stretching. I will stretch it and then do it. Once it's stretched, you won't notice the crease, but when it's not stretched, the crease is in there. But loved this. I could tell an immediate difference between the quality of both the artwork and the rendering, how it just, you know, the quality of everything. I mean, the level of the sparkle here. I don't know if you can tell how much this kit just sparkles. And of course, you know, you've got the 2 different ABs in here. You've got one, the yellow one, which you see in the stars back here, and then 2, which is the white one, which you'll see a couple of these small stars scattered throughout. There's another yellow one there, and then also in the eye. And I think that's pretty much the only location that they had for the ABs. I may go back in and actually make the horn, the white of the horn, as a white AB on this one, because I feel like it needs a little bit more sparkle and shimmer in her. But this one, I started on the 21st of April, finished it on the 22nd of April. It did take me about 8 hours and 32 minutes to do. It was a fantastic learning curve to work on my color blocking and to kind of get comfortable with doing color blocking. Because before, with some of these other ones, I was only using like a 3 multi-placer, like a 3-placer, and you know, that can take a while. So this gave me the opportunity to practice with like the 6-placer. So now I feel a lot more comfortable with the 6-placer, and I'll actually place with that one. So this was my first Diamond Art Club kit, which loved this. And isn't she just adorable? I mean, that is the cutest little unicorn. Super adorable. But again, that was my only, once I discovered them, then I like went on a Diamond Art Club buying spree. But while you're waiting for your Diamond Art Clubs to come in, what are you gonna paint? So then I had to rely back on my Amazon kits. So then we went to a small kit, which I had found on Temu, and I tried one of these kits because I regularly purchase other random things off of Temu, including Legos, because yes, I love my Legos. And this kit was a 20 by 20, or 20 by 30 is what they called it, which I don't know that I believe that's totally, again, like they say 20 by 30, but like, look, I'm like, that is so not. So that's really like 15 by 24.5. So again, don't believe that basically any of these Amazon or Temu kits subtract like 5 centimeters off of whatever the number is up top, and that's basically your dimensions. This one was like the rendering, like their picture that they show here versus the picture that you get like of the actual image that you think you're getting are so totally different usually than what this turns out with. It kind of like, it was hard to tell what it was going to be. It kind of looks like it has this fan, almost like a mandala behind. There was so much confetti in the Buddha's hair up here. So much confetti there. This part wasn't as bad. The rays in the background were not nearly as bad. The shadows were easy to do, but the confetti in the hair, oh my word. This one took so, you would think that this being so small wouldn't be that bad, but I mean, it took me, I did do this one in one day. I started on the 23rd of April because I finished this one in the, like, first thing in the morning, and then I like worked on this one that same day on that Sunday. But it literally took me all day to do this one, like over 8 hours to work on this tiny little one because of how much confetti we had right up in here. There were also so many, it looks really stiff. It's like stiff as a board. And that's because there was so many popping drills on this one. So I had to do a lot, like I had to seal this one afterwards because there were so many popping drills. It did have only 16 colors. And it was also, this one, I felt like it was hard to tell some of the color, like some of the drill field was very hard to distinguish. And I do use a light pad, and that helps, but there were still some of them that were very hard to tell apart. So that was challenging. Pardon me as I get a drink of water. But I had to, yeah, so lots of popping drills. I had to seal it. I did like the colors. I really do not like the rendering here. You can tell that it's computer rendered. So there's no, like, no delineation. There's no blending of this skin tone. Like up here, all of this looks great, but it's just like this stark, boom, right here with this really big difference in coloration here. And then I'm like, why do we have this almost like hot pink along the edge of the Buddha's face? I don't get it. And then like a couple random specks of green. It's odd. So anyways, this was the next one. Let's see, how many are we up to? I didn't write my numbers in my book. I should have. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is finish number 5. So that was finish number 5 in April. So my last of what I consider my finishes in April was another Buddha, as you can see. So I guess everybody could tell that there's a little bit of a theme in my paintings that I picked off of Amazon. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to do all of the Buddhas in one go. And I still have a few more Buddha heads and a few more Buddhas to do for my Amazon kits. This one is also, you know, the 30 by 40 or 24.5 by 34.5. This one is one where the picture here looks very similar to the image, the rendering that they did, but it looks nothing like, it's completely different than the picture that was advertised. The picture that was advertised was like was blues, but then, oh, and look, I think I got, oh no, that was just a piece of glue. I had to seal this one as well because there were lots of popping drills. I did love the blue tones and I love the oranges down here. There was supposed to be like this flame coming up, which you can't tell, but I love this coloration, like this part I love. I just don't get this patch of like white right there. I don't get it. I'm like, what's up with this patch of white that, or like off-white tan? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. But I love the blues and greens and the oranges. Those look really good down here. And I don't, the rest of the patchiness, it kind of gives me that mottled like copper. Like if you've ever seen like a, oh gosh, my mom would be like on me right now for not knowing the terminology of what it's called. But if you've ever seen like that aged copper has that tarnished, there you go, that tarnished copper tone where it kind of has those blues and greens to it. That's what this reminds me of. And I love the oranges because it's such a complementary color to the blues and greens. So I do like this part, but this right here really bothers me. This big white or off-white tan patch right over the eye, that bothers me. This one had 23 colors there, and they don't even, this one had 23 colors. They did give you the DMC. There was one of them that didn't give you the DMC colors, so if you wanted the DMC colors, you, SOL, no DMC colors. This is another Amazon one. I started this one on the 23rd of April and finished it on the 27th of April. And it took me 14 hours and 30 minutes to do this one here. My notes for this one were bad rendering. Lots of popping drills. I had to seal it, but I did love the blues and the greens. So that was this kit here. And then from there, and then my Paintgem kits, for all of my month in review, I will do my big kits, then I'll do my Paintgem mini kits that I do at the end of those, and then I will do my whips after that. So my Paintgem minis that I did, I started with the rainbows, and I did 4 of these kind of throughout. I'm not gonna do any specific day, but I just did them throughout the month. So all of these were rounds, because I was just starting out, so I started out with rounds, and then the Paintgem minis were squares. So the first one I did was the rainbow eye, which I'm a bit, have some slight OCD tendencies. If you'll notice me constantly trying to like square up these paintings. But I have some OCD tendencies, so there's a little number on the bottom here. So I have of these canvases, and it bothers me that the canvases from the Paintgem kit, these numbers here that say 1 through 16 or 1 through 12 or whatever it is, don't line up with the order sheet that they give you in your kit. So that bothers me. because they have to match and they don't match. So first I did the rainbow eye, and then I did the rainbow princess, which kind of reminds me of a purple-haired Princess Peach. But that was for the first two. And then the third one was this little fairy sitting in the sliver of the moon. And then the last one that I did of the Paintgem minis for this month was this ice cream cone with like heart-shaped rainbow ice cream. Oh, there's a little, and there's a little one there. Okay. These were fun to do. I like the Paintgems. They're like the perfect little snack size. They usually take me, depending on how many color changes I have to do, usually about an hour and a half for each one of these to go like all through. So that was the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one I did, and I kind of did them at different days, different times. And I like to kind of like breeze through them. They're great, fun ones. I do have this rainbow kit all kitted up and set up for working on in one of my Elizabeth Ward trays, so that way I can work on that here at home. So that way it's one of those when I'm like, oh, I just need a quick little snack to do and have like a finish, I've got this to work on. So loved these, super fun to do, super like great exposure to working with squares, because these were my first squares that I've ever done. So it kind of helped make it seem a little less intimidating to work with squares and kind of give me that feel of what it's going to be like actually doing a square painting, which can feel intimidating if you've never done a square before. So now I will do my two whips. So I did start, you're only going to get like a sneak peek because of this one, because I have now since finished it. But when I started the month of May, I had not finished it. I just finished it this evening. So I'm not going to show you the full painting. I'm only going to show you like roughly like what I would have had done. So in April, I had probably about like this, I had like the blue section done of Daylight. So this part here, the blue backing, was done on Daylight. And this was whip number 1 going into May, because I started this one, which is Daylight by Puffy Gator. I started that on the 28th of April. So I worked on it on the 28th, I worked on it on the 29th, and then I flew out on the 30th. I flew out for a school trip to Seattle, so I didn't get a chance to work on it after that. So then the rest of the work has been into May. So that was whip number 1 going into the month. And then the other one that you'll get a sneak peek of is, which I have also already finished that, but you won't get to do. And then my other one that I would start heading into May, which you will get a sneak peek of, which I didn't start until May, was Starry Night, Night Music, which is a square, by Wanda Mum, which I am doing for which is another, both of these are Diamond Art Clubs. This is another one that you can see, this is the one section I have completely done now. But this one I actually didn't start, I had it like out and ready to work on and basically kitted up and ready to go. But so that was going to be my whip leading into May for Star Wars and Space Diamonds, because space. So those are the two main whips for going into May, and you can kind of see a little bit of my method of madness of how I work. So if you want to see the interesting way that I work, this is, I've got it all sectioned off and I work on it sideways. You can tell by my cover minders. I start here and I work my way over, and I pick one color And I do all of that color all the way down. And usually it means that I do end up having, and I start with all of the colors that are going to be in this quadrant, and I do all of the colors from here all the way down. And as you can see, it ends up having me, so as we look that up, you can see there's a fair amount in here that is finished because of the colors that went from here, and then the ones that kind of like bleed down through. But it's also kind of interesting seeing how much from here extends down into there, and how much of those colors overlap down through. And there will be those occasional ones where you're like, oh, that color doesn't actually, like, oh, I missed a drill here, I missed a drill there. And then once I've completely finished that block, then I will cut off the piece of plastic completely so I don't have it continue to interfere. But this is whip number 2 going into the month. And then I had to have something to take with me. When I went to, I had to have something to take with me when I went to Seattle for work, which I flew, or for school / work. So I flew up on the 30th. I was there the 1st, the 2nd, and I flew back on the 3rd. So technically I started the, so I took a Paintgem kit, and since I had already kitted up my rainbow kit into Elizabeth Ward containers, I couldn't take those ones because I was like, I'm not going to haul those on the plane. So I took National Parks 1.0 kit, and I just took them in their, I basically took them in their baggies. I took one of my Bella Art de Nicole small trays that had, because they had the lid. I took one of my actual like pen, and then I took this because then you could put, and I just left it like this so I could refer to the sheet, and then took the kits with me, and then that way you could have the kits. And so this was my work, so I kind of worked on these, which so that's kind of like one of my whips. So my goal will be seeing if I can finish this kit, the landscape, or these landscapes of the national parks. These are the 5 that I have left to do. So there's Yellowstone. There is, I think that one's Yosemite. Let's see, which one is that one? Zion, okay. Yellowstone, Zion, Joshua Tree, which is actually like the park entrance is 10 minutes from my house. And then you have the Grand Canyon, and then Acadia. So those are the 5 that I have left to finish. So I'm halfway done with the National Park 1.0 kit because I got 5 of them done while I was in Seattle, which you'll get to see the finished copy of those with my 1.0 or with my May finishes. But this is what I'm talking about. So it says on here, it shows that American Samoa should be number 1, Arch is 2, and so on. Like Yellowstone on this should be like number 9. But when you look here, Yellowstone is 10 on the bottom. And that just drives me bonkers that those don't line up. So I just left these like this because then I could just have this in my bag to hold both the finished ones, and then I would leave these because then I could have them, apologize for noise, I could keep them in their order because they've got the number on them. So there's 29, and they of what color it is, so you could just grab them by the appropriate color and you're good. So this is technically whip number 3, I guess you could call it, because I'm working on those as well. So now I just need to figure out what my next whip is going to be, since I've technically finished Daylight, and I have to figure out what additional round kit I want to do, because I kind of like, this is a, like, This one has so much confetti in it, like the entire canvas, at least this part up here, doesn't look it when you see it from a distance, but there's so many different shades of blue and purple up here. And this entire thing has been so much confetti, and it's taking me so much longer to do this than it is to do like the round kit, which I cruise through the rounds. Granted, this is my first square, so you know there's a learning curve when you're doing squares. But I kind of like being able to be like, okay, I'm tired of working on this. Is that weird? Oh, okay. So that's just an AB with a weird shimmer. I kind of like being able to switch back and forth between like a square kit and a round kit. And since I use the Bella Art or the Elizabeth Ward containers, it's very easy for me to just be like, okay, this painting is on this tray. All right, let me put the other tray on top and kind of switch them back and forth. It's very easy to do that switch when I'm going from painting to painting. So I just need to decide, what do I want to do next? What do I want to kit up? Do I want to go for something small like this, or do I want to go for one that's, again, similar size to Daylight? That's my big challenge now. Or do I want to go with something even bigger, or keep it small since I'm working on this one? So that's my dilemma. I just need to figure it out. I also have Twilight vibes. I may do Twilight vibes in rounds. Since I just did Daylight, I may do Twilight vibes in rounds and stick with the Puffy Gator, because that was a lot of fun. Anyways, I will decide and see which one I go with. But this was my month in review for April, with my 6 finishes, my 4 Paintgem finishes, and my 2 whips going into visitor coming through. Oh, you're gonna sit right there, baby girl. Really? And then my 2 whips leading into May. Well, 3 whips including the National Park series going into May. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this. I actually find that month in reviews are one of my favorite things to watch, or like the month in review videos. I find them super interesting. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching with me. And yeah, go on, Moch. Thank you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, or start to your day, whatever your day may be. And give me a like, subscribe, comment below with recommendations for whether I should go with a medium kit, large kit, what size kit I should go with for my next round. Have a wonderful day.